Councilman Ballas?
Present.
Councilman Ingalls?
Here.
Councilman Trues?
Here.
Councilman Stein?
Here.
Councilman Deschamps?
Here.
Councilman Bottier? President Fawn?
Here. Okay, preliminary announcements. No. Okay. We don't have any guests here tonight. Anything? Okay. Council items. Jumping into that. Still Valley cleanup. I think that's you.
Yeah. The Enterprise Zone is going to be having a multi-municipal cleanup day, and it's going to be on the 21st, I believe, of April. I'm not sure what time we're going to start. In our meetings with the three boroughs, they asked for a truck to be brought into play here to help pick up debris and whatnot. And the Enterprise Zone will be more than happy to pay for our municipal employee for that day. It's a Saturday, so it'll be overtime. So I brought this to Joe's attention. He's aware of this. And whoever would like to be chosen should be chosen, and that's the way it should go. Whoever's first in order, second in order, however that would be. My thought was to start in the Munhall area at the waterfront frontage where the road comes into the waterfront. If you drive down there, it's absolutely a garbage bin down there. It's horrible. There's so much paper and debris. It's absolutely needs to be cleaned up. So in that thought, you know, I talked with our police chief and I talked with several police officers. I think while they're down in that particular area where it's very tight right there, I think we should have a police car come down and just sit there with their lights on, direct people around people working there. We certainly don't want to have anyone hurt there. And I'm not sure whose responsibility that is or whose property that is there. I don't know if it's our property. I don't know if it's open property. I'm not real sure of the property, but it's really bad. So I think we should start there and work our way from there down to, per se, Ravine Street, because there's a lot of tattered stuff all through the side roads there. The side of the properties there.
What day did you say that is?
It's the 21st.
Okay.
I've talked to the police department of April, 21st of April, and I'm going to have it put on our webpage, the Munhall Borough Crime Watch, and announce it. And I know that we have people who are more than willing to help come out and volunteer. By doing it with the three communities, they're going to have funding will be given for vests and bags and cleanup gloves, and all that stuff will be provided. And we've done that in the past with I don't know if it's done with the three boroughs, but that's what the plan is. I think it's a good area to start, and it's going to be mostly all done down along the avenues. So, what better of a place for us to start is there. So, I might add, I think we should have a welcome to Munhall sign down in that area while we're talking about that certain little area. You come off the bridge, come down into Munhall. We don't see any signs where Munhall begins, where it ends. I think we should have something down there to show we're welcome to Munhall. That would be a good thing. So that's the gist of the cleanup day.
They're gonna get like high school kids to volunteer, or mostly anybody and everybody.
I think it's anyone who would like to volunteer.
You're going to advertise that?
We are. We'll
I haven't heard from baseball yet, but I wonder how that coincides with Little League opening.
I don't know either.
Yeah, that's usually around the same time as Little
Opening day.
I think they open earlier.
Opening.
I don't think it's going to
I don't think it
be
matters
a big deal with the 44 children that are going to be playing in Munhall baseball this year.
There's more than that.
That's all
They
it is.
started signups? I don't mean to get off track.
Yeah, they have.
They've had one sign up
They
day
have
so
one.
far.
I think
having
they're here
something
this Sunday. Yeah, I mean that's no problem. I think have Bob posted on. Posted down there. See, senior man will get it. That day.
Is that in conjunction with the, I don't know if it's a statewide or
It is
nationwide?
Earth Day.
Yeah.
They do it with It is in conjunction with that, and that's how we're getting a little bit of funding to do that.
Okay,
Correct. The Great American Cleanup.
yep.
A good idea.
And it's something we're gonna do with all three of the boroughs, so it's a little cooperation amongst all of us. It should be good.
Okay. Still Valley Enterprise Zone, Main Street tax increment financing. That's written also? Okay.
Yes, I'm involved in the enterprise zone.
You're the president of that, are you the president?
I
You're
am the president of the tax increment financing.
Okay.
I'm new to this, so you're gonna have to tell me what, and
We will. And that portion of the meeting, of the tax increment portion of it, I believe Rich Vodadine still sits on that with me. So you'll be a member of the regular enterprise zone.
Right.
And Rich is on the tax increment. I believe that's how it's still gonna go.
So two different,
It is two different entities, correct. And I think that they need something written from Munhall Council stating that they would like the enterprise zone to handle the Main Street and tax increment portion of that. And it just has to be voted upon. I know we told them Harvey was gonna be our representative, but I'm not sure if we actually formally voted on that. I know that Homestead has, I'm not sure if West Homestead has yet or not. So it's just a formal vote, and we could check with Chuck Starrett on that to see if he's still waiting for that.
Is that something we do yearly? We do that every year?
It is.
It's almost like an
I believe it's done yearly.
The same
And
thing.
if everyone would turn to page 3 in their packets, you'll see more information on that.
Okay. Is Ashley Kane thing here?
Charles
Yeah.
Starrett.
Let's see. Oh, 3 in front of 2.
Well, there you go. That's
Okay.
exactly what I just said. Page 1.
Page 1, yep.
Right.
page one
Actual page 4.
of one.
Actually, page 3 of my.
4 on
Oh,
your,
4, yeah, right, you're right.
non-numbered pages
Right.
and 1 on if you're looking for pages.
That was all numbered.
Okay, Homestead Borough Council's already approved it, and they're awaiting, approve the action approved by West Homestead, okay. Oh, West Homestead's pending, so,
Right. So they'll vote on it next.
so we'll be up with the pending thing too then.
Right.
Should we have Greg look, just look it over quickly? Make sure.
I think it's a good idea, yeah. Not that, there's any suspicion about
No.
anything, but it's good to know what we need, where we are, and, why certain things are the way they are.
And to make
I
sure
like
he
the way he
knows what's going
explains.
on too.
All I received was this email, and if you look at it, does it really say what it is and what it, the note, like meet, is there a contract or do they have a bylaws? I mean, this is all,
The enterprise zone has bylaws, absolutely.
I mean,
The
for this TIF.
The TIF is actually the voting body. 2 members from each council are there, from each borough, I should say, are representatives of this committee. And they actually vote on spending monies for different things. Like anything that's brought to the council to vote on for certain dollars spent is brought through the TIF committee. It's not brought through the actual enterprise zone. It's brought through the TIF committee or the Main Street or the tax increment. There are 2 different entities right in that as well. One votes for money spent into buildings, and others are spent for monies brought into businesses. So there's 2 different portions of that as well. And that's where people in business go to apply for loans, low interest loans. And that was, if you remember last year or a year and a half or so ago, when I brought all Munhall business into this group. So that allows all the businesses in Munhall to apply for that money, which is certainly an advantage if you're a small businessman and you want to do an improvement to your building, say your front of your building, or you want to do something for equipment. There's a couple different ways it can be done.
Does this have anything to do with the waterfront TIF?
No,
Completely
Yeah,
different
very
entity?
different, yeah.
no,
Okay,
has nothing to do with water.
all right. Just wanted to make
This,
sure.
this 9,000, the only thing I can, maybe Mayor knows, 9,000, is that 9,000 divided by 3 or is it 9,000 just for us? I mean, we can ask Chuck
It's in the
that.
middle.
I just wrote a note here, to see if he has anything like,
Yeah.
formally that he can
It's on
do.
page.
This is all, this is the
We
email.
passed,
I
yeah,
received.
I'm familiar with this, we've passed this before though,
So 9,000.
but, just
Well, I
find
don't
out.
know.
I'm not sure exactly what this is for, but
Yeah,
But if you remember last year when they bought all new lights for down 8th Avenue,
right, right.
the TIF committee added monies into that. Mr. Dukar put in so many thousands of dollars. The TIF committee added a certain amount of dollars. I believe this money is for, they're gonna put baskets down through the area, down through the waterfront in Homestead, Munhall, and West Homestead in certain intersections. And they're gonna do a couple other things as far as, they're gonna put more mulch in all the beds and whatnot and try to keep it somewhat brought up. But I'm not sure what the total $9,000 is,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
I will call Chuck Sterrett and, actually, what does the administration do, actually?
Get a better
Get
explanation.
some
of all
ideas,
this.
or if he has.
So we know exactly what we're,
Yeah,
the
what you're
amount,
voting on, right.
the amount that we're
Chuck
passing.
Sterrett and his associate company, they basically run the enterprise zone. They keep all the records, they pay all the bills, they run the meetings, they're an integral part of the enterprise zone.
I still think we ought to put, run it by Greg.
Okay.
Just a quick phone call.
Yeah, that's all. Just to make sure.
All right, tree removal and public works role, is that Bob, or do you want to say that, Joe?
Either way,
Any guys have any input on that?
it seems like we're getting more and more residents who are hiring tree cutters to cut the trees down, and then all they do is cut them down and put them to the curb, and they're calling for a brush pickup, and we're going there and finding out we got a half day of work with a few guys to finish the job for them. Is that correct? And we don't know why it started like this, and I guess we want to bring it to council's attention that this is happening, and we would like to stop it.
We do have a brush pickup understanding with all the residents.
Right.
But if a contractor comes in, there's no doubt in my mind that that contractor's under obligation to remove the tree, brush, whatever.
And
You know,
that's,
if
I
the
think they
resident
will.
does it themselves, I think we've done that. We've picked it up.
I think if a contractor comes in, they will take it, but they're charging the people.
Right.
That's what they don't wanna do. I mean, the people don't wanna pay for this. Am I correct in saying that?
They're cutting it in 6-foot pieces, we can't pick that up, we have to cut it and throw it in.
and they're spending hours, days, and days.
That's
And we're sending our chipper out there and it's,
Yeah, it's not our job to do that.
Right.
Okay, so we're on
So
the
what
same
do
page.
we, I mean, do we have an ordinance covering this, Bummer?
We have like you said, we remove
Brush.
brush.
Yeah, I know we,
So we
know.
would have to
Right.
decipher, is it gonna be, how we gonna decipher if a contractor did it, cut it down, or if the resident did?
Isn't this brush supposed to be tied up too?
Yeah.
There has to be
Yeah.
there has to be certain size and,
It is so
This is
much, so much
ridiculous.
as
Yeah,
one
it has
goes.
to be.
Well, the tree that they're talking about
yes.
that happened on Lee Street, I mean, it was a big tree. They did cut it in smaller sections for our guys to handle, but there's a whole tree there. You know what I mean? It's,
And you don't think the resident did the tree cutting?
oh, absolutely.
The back of our recycling calendar says no tree.
Yeah,
Right.
no
No
trees.
tree cutting. We will take branches for you, but the tree part is up to you.
That's good to know.
Okay.
Well, like, I mean, it doesn't really specify what size branches. It just, I mean, so.
Well, branch is a
Tree
branch.
trunk,
I don't know.
Well, if they call us, we tell them it has to be cut in
Yeah.
3-foot sections and tied.
Well,
Yeah,
Tied.
Some of the pieces on Lee Street, you couldn't tie them together.
right.
an 8-year-old tree probably has the same size trunk
All the time.
as a branch of a 100-year-old tree.
Right.
Mhm.
So how can you make that determination?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
But they gotta be tied, 3 feet tied together.
Right. Yeah, right, yeah.
Well, it doesn't, well, I don't know if that's.
I think we need to
I think
check
anything
ordinance.
over a certain diameter should be.
I think we need to check the ordinance, see if there's an ordinance on the book for
Right,
size and
ordinance
stuff.
reads.
And then after that, we need to adjust it, we talk to Greg.
Right.
I think there probably is something on there, I can't imagine there's not. But I'm not sure what, how it
Just
actually.
we can't waste our time with our people down there.
No,
An
no,
hour and a half
absolutely
in one
not,
section.
no.
Sometimes more.
That's what I mean, we gotta get that clean, rest of the
We
people,
have no
what are we
problem
gonna
picking
do with
stuff
that?
up if it's bundled properly and then
Yeah,
right
that's-
amount of
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
size.
and I don't know if we have the equipment to do those
It's not
things.
the man hours we're wasting on one person.
And, you're lifting up
I'm wasting
10-ton
in the truck.
tree, Glenn,
Taken away.
hurt a lot.
I mean, we can have our guys go by it, and say it's too big, we just, you know, give them a sticker that we put on things, saying, you know, you have to remove your tree yourself, it's over the limit,
I think it works.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
let them decide.
And you're right,
Go with
they
that
do
until
charge
someone
extra
calls
Yeah,
us.
to
that's
take it
what
away.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Right, oh, absolutely.
That's
what
either
they're
whether
doing.
a
People say, I don't
individual
want
or a
to-
company,
Yeah,
you know,
I'll get it for free.
cuts
for
it
the
down,
borough.
Good job.
do it that way,
Alright,
let them decide.
I mean, I don't really wanna take the time to get into it, but even maybe setting a diameter, anything bigger than like half-inch diameters, not considered a branch. Or something, or not considered brush, I should say.
I think it is stated somewhere.
I believe
I
it
don't
is.
know where, but it is stated, you know, you want it picked up, it has to be bound
yeah.
up, and
Okay, look at,
I think
I
look
don't
at
know
the
if
ordinance
weight
that
section
we
we
have,
have.
and then look at some neighboring communities, see what they have.
I think that's a good way to work on this.
Okay, DEP, Brian Schimmel, Karen Savets, I guess she was representing Austin Davis.
Right. I got a call from Austin Davis's office in Lauren, talking about a resident who called in, talking about the rainwater, how it's eroding his yard. And she said she called the DEP, and DEP says that Munhall's issue. So I asked, without them knowing what the issue is or seeing the issue, I don't know how they could say it was a Munhall issue. So I asked her if she could set up a meeting with the DEP, which she did. Bob Vicey, Scott McCullough, Karen Svets from Austin Davis's office, myself, Colin Lampark, our engineer, and the sewer authority's engineer, Mark Scally, and Dave Cannon was president, and Mayor Brennan showed up as well. Before we got in there to talk to the DEP, there were some other issues that we had on the table that Colin and I were talking about, and we were preparing for. And we said, well, while we got the DEP here, let's use them. Let's see what else we could talk to them, right? Get the most out of our buck. So Brian came in and we talked about this residence. We set it up. We all put our 2 cents in, explained everything that was going on, and then we had a discussion on this. And then they were going to go to the site. Bob, Scott, the 2 engineers, Dave, Mayor Brennan, and the DEP went to this location and they did an evaluation. And I just got a 422, the evaluation from them today. It was the first thing on your packets. Also, while I was there, we had an environmental report that we did. The second thing was we had an environmental report on the waterfront property, and quite truthfully with you, a lot of us, it was beyond us. So we told him about it, and Colin got in because he got the environmental engineer involved, and he had some notes from him, but they weren't completed. So they had a little discussion on the waterfront property as well. And then the third thing is we have some walls that are coming down on the creeks down by Ravine Street that we think it's maybe an issue at one point. So we took them down there to show them that too. So we had a nice day with the DEP. Any questions?
I have a couple comments on it. And I've read Colin's report. And when I walked into the meeting, I had no idea that this meeting was even transpiring. So I would have liked to have been invited to the meeting, Joe.
I didn't know about the meeting. Who else knew
I didn't know about it either.
I mean, you weren't the only one. You know, we had our professionals there. You know, my opinion, I don't know how good that would have been, but you weren't alone in it.
I didn't say I was.
I'm just telling.
I'm just stating a fact. I would have liked to have been invited.
I'm chair of public works, I wanted.
And when I got there, it was sort of like they already made an opinion of what was transpiring up at this property Mr. Ondo's. Now, I've not been to the other properties that they went to as far as Ravine Street and Gates Drive. I didn't have time to go to all the other properties, but I had looked at Mr. Ondo's property the week prior because he had been in here, he's been talking about problems that he's had with his property, and I thought I would stop there myself and look at the property. And I did. Unbeknownst to anyone else me going there, I stopped there and looked at his property. And if you look at his property, we do have a culvert that is pointed directly into his wall of his property where it's come down. And it's pretty apparent that it's rainwater from the municipal drains along the whole valley up there. Now, it's not been proven that yet because I asked the street department and I asked our engineer, and there was no one really had a direct answer. So in reading his report, he says here that he does agree that we need to investigate where the culvert and that discharges water at the property is coming from. And if we are discharging municipal stormwater through that culvert, then we need to deal with it, basically is what he's saying. There's some responsibility there for the borough. So I think in good faith, we should dye test those culverts, those drains through, all the way up through past Joe's house. Shady Avenue comes down all the way through there. Elizabeth Street dumps through there. There's a massive amount of water that's coming down through there. And you have a 48-inch pipe there. And if it's storming like we've had storm waters these past couple of years, it's been pretty traumatic. So I think we need to look at it a little bit further. Just in defense of Mr. Ondo's property, we did walk up through Pat's property and look at the property from above. And I spoke with Mr. Ondo. I knocked on his door that day. There was no one home. I think he should have been aware of the meeting and he should have been invited to the meeting as well. I think that would have been a common courtesy. I think he should have been told that we were gonna discuss his property at the meeting. Certainly because he's the one that initiated the meeting. So, in looking at his property, you can see where he's taken and planted a lot of trees up there. You can see on the hillside where it appears that there's vegetation has been taken out there as well. So I'm not saying that it's all one-sided, but I think that there are several things going on at that property that could be some things that could be resolved on both parts. It's not just one way, but I certainly think we need to take a little closer look at that. Okay.
Just want to make one clarification. I didn't know about that meeting either. I found out after the fact. From what I understand, the original purpose of the meeting was not to discuss this property. It came up in conversation during the meeting.
No, that was what the meeting was for.
Oh, okay, all right.
That one was for that.
Okay.
Where's the water
I
coming
mean,
from?
anything that we,
It's coming all the catch basins from
So in other words,
Caroline Street, from McQuinney Street,
so if
from
we're
all
gonna
that.
have the water running out there, going out in the street, do we make them put it out in the street, or they make them put it out in the street, rolling downhill?
The consent decree
I
did.
mean,
Well,
That's part of the consent decree. You gotta get it taken out of the
but that
storm
water's
water.
coming down and doing this,
Yeah.
so that's our fault.
one key thing that I'm
No,
bringing
I
here is if we would do something on Mr. Ondo's property, Colin seems to be a
Oh, here's
little
Mr.
worried
Rondo
about.
right now.
There is. Colin seems to be
up.
worried about the liability, you know,
Right.
if it would cause, you know, if we would not do it right or not do the right thing. So we would have to be very careful, I think, what we do there. And maybe Mr. Rondo, if we would do something, we'd have to sign some type of waiver, not the whole borough, you know, responsible in some sort,
Right.
you know.
But to answer
We
what
don't-
Harvey, your question, Harvey, it is two-folded. The 48-inch pipe that discharges into his property, into his side of his wall, is not from a home. It's from all the street water that runs from the
Not from
entire, all the way up to Shady Avenue, all the way up to Briley Lane, and probably all that hillside to the right and the hillside to the left.
All the way up to Main Street, probably.
Probably, right.
All the way down.
So this
I
is
mean, all
not
the way
just
down.
something that
This
Mr.
is not just the water there.
This is just not someone's
I just-
downspout
no,
running into
I understand.
the street. I'm just answering you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling you the fact. That's what I saw. And granted, Mr. Ondo's property does run from up to down, and there's water that's going to run through there as well. So he's going to have some natural erosion there as well. But I think the main thing is this pipe there has got to be redirected. Something needs to be done with it, or it's just going to, eventually, it's going to just keep on going. So that was what I saw there. And I have nothing more to say unless anyone else has another question on what I thought, but if Mr. Ondo's here and he'd like to mention something, I certainly think that he would be certainly allowed to speak.
So we're discussing his.
Yep.
So, I was informed that there was a meeting on the 9th with Lauren from Austin Davis's office, and there was also a gentleman from the DEP that came down here, and I have a question as to why I was not notified about this meeting where I could have given my points of view or what I felt or whatever, because I was to understand that the gentleman from the DEP and some of our council members and whomever had gone up on my property. And it would have been nice to know that there were people from our borough that went up on my property. And I was also to understand that there were 2 people from the borough maintenance. So there again, it seemed like there was an entourage of people up there that were basically assuming what the problems actually were without asking me. I wasn't too happy about that. Twofold problem. I have the sewer line, the 48-inch sewer line. And if the people who were there actually saw where the tin whistle that was there, because obviously the pipe that's under there is concrete, the tin whistle's rotting away. There are 2 big holes there. People walk their dogs, people walk in that grassy area, and if they fall in there, is it my responsibility? So, again, this isn't the first time that I brought this issue up to council, and I also brought it up to the sewer commission, and basically what I was told to do was sue my neighbors or whatever about my problems. Well, I do have problems, and if anybody who rides past my house, you do not see it, something's wrong. You're wearing blinders. I got a problem with people's downspouts, their roof runoff, coming down across my property, and I also have a problem with that sewer. So, I don't know, does anybody have any questions that you want to ask me? I've been there 41 years. It just seems in the last couple years, since we diverted our downspouts into our yards, that now I'm having issues because not only do I have 10,000 times the amount of water coming down Shady Avenue. Joey, am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah, we have a lazy river when it rains.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
And I also have the people behind me who you know, all the way up Woodhill, that their water's running down through my yard. I was to understand a comment was made that I had cut trees down on that hillside. That's not true. I have not cut one tree down where that creek bed is, on that hillside up to where my little field is. Everything that's laying there had fallen over, it was dead. There's no way that I cut a tree down. I'm not rock stupid. I did not cut a tree down on that hillside. Now, did I clear my property out? Yes, I did. But that goes right along with everybody who owns a piece of property anywhere. Obviously, you had to cut trees down to build a home. You had to cut trees down to build a driveway. You had to cut trees down to put your lawn in. That's what I did. But I also grew grass as quick, Pat, right or wrong. I grew grass up there as quickly as I possibly could, and I also planted fruit trees. So the trees that I took down, I also replaced them with fruit trees, because the stuff that was up there was trash. It was falling over, branches, all kinds of stuff coming down there. Another thing, and I don't know if I ever explained this to you, for I don't know how many years, there was a doctor, a local doctor, who owned that piece of property. Somehow, some way, he claimed that as a bird sanctuary, which gave him a tax-free piece of property. I won't mention the doctor's name, he's now long gone, but I bought that off of him. A bird sanctuary? Since when? He got it, it was tax-free. I was lucky enough to purchase that piece of property. When I bought that piece of property, it was a hangout for kids. There were tree shacks up there. There were shacks built on the ground. I found beer bottles, beer cans, needles. Needles. I showed Pat, it was the concrete behind your house. The gentleman who owned Pat's house owned a rebar concrete factory. The stuff that he would break up on the job, he would bring home, wheelbarrow it behind Pat's house, and throw it on what became my property. So, did I make that a much better place? Oh, and then everybody, when I bought that property and I cleaned it up, from the street to the very top of my property, people were mad because they used that as their own personal dumping grounds. You cut your hedges, you took it over there and you dumped it. You cut your grass, instead of doing whatever you did with it, leaving it for the borough guys to pick up, you took it across the street and you threw it. So there was more crap on that property than anything. And it took me a long time to clean that piece of property up. I hope you guys understand. I don't know if you've passed my place in that amount of time, Mr. Tishon, I know you have. It took me a long time. And not only did I take care of my property, but I also took care of my property all the way down to Harvey, all the way down Shady. Joe, am I right or wrong?
Right.
I rode my tractor down there.
You know, the problem you have is the same one I have. Where I live on Video Drive, my neighbors from across the street do the exact same thing.
Yes.
They come, go down my driveway. Now, you know, I could say something about it, but, you know, it's grass clippings and things that, just an annoyance.
But the thing of it is I found again, like I said, I found needles.
I don't have that.
It wasn't somebody up there that had diabetes or something like that. It was somebody up there doing something else. Needles. My kids were playing up there when they were little. My grandkids play up there. So, do I think that I did an outstanding job compared to when I bought it? Most definitely, in my opinion. So, and now I have an issue, now I have a problem, and like I said, where do I go from here?
You know, the one thing you mentioned, Mr. Ronda, was if that borough culvert, if that is ours, it would seem to me there's some responsibility there. All right? As far as, you know, drainage off someone else's property, it would seem to me, you know, that's probably between, you know, you and your neighbor. But that culvert, if you're saying there's a river that comes down there and it's not operating, it would seem to me that's something we have.
Mr. Tishon, if I could just add on to that. Elka Sand said they do not want rainwater going into their sanitary sewer systems. So they made a decree.
It's going into the sewers all over town.
But they made a decree, we do not want this to happen. So Munhall Borough and West Homestead Borough and Homestead, everybody said, you can't have rainwater going into the sanitary sewer systems. But nobody ever said, well, what do we do with it? Do we pipe it out into the street or do we dump it on our neighbor's yard? Nobody ever said that. Now, all the way up Shady Avenue, and you correct me if I'm wrong,
I will.
people are having problems with the street above them dumping their water, and their houses now are being ruined. Right or
I
wrong?
have a waterfall in my yard
Yes.
that goes around my house. I'm not getting it in my
And the
house.
thing of it is we've never had this before up until this Allegheny County decree.
If I could touch on that 1 second, is, number one, it's the state
Federal.
decree.
Yeah.
The Pennsylvania, you put this, the DEP. When we found out that you had this issue, we were up there. We did look at the situation. We went to your neighbors, Dave, Bob, Colin. We all went, we looked at it. We take it serious. We understand that there's an issue there. What can we do? The first thing we did, and this is, because this is a persistent problem, in the state of Pennsylvania, not in Munhall on Shady Avenue, what would be the right thing to do? Call the state who put the decree together, have them come out to meet and to tell us what's going on and how we can fix this, which is exactly what the borough of Munhall did.
Which is why I went to Austin Davis and explained my situation to him, because I had been to our congressman and I had spoken with his girl Friday, who I wouldn't even know what her title is. To get the state to do something, I might as well do it myself.
That's what they do.
Well,
They decree things.
Yes.
And you have to pay for them, or we
Correct.
have to pay for
Correct.
them.
Now
That's
everybody had a suggestion where I, which I never had this problem before, where I should rent a backhoe or something and dig a trench clear across my property, across the top of it and down the side, so the water from up above, like Woodhill, runs off. But you're telling me I have to do something that I didn't cause.
Nor did the borough.
So did anybody think that when they said no water in the sanitary sewer system, did anybody think, well, what do we do with it? Where does it go? How do we alleviate this problem?
Yeah, the DEP said you could do 4 things.
And I have the things in here too. Here, I could forward to you, the rain barrels.
Well, originally when it first came out, they said they told in the engineering things, you can run it out into your street, you can run it out into your sidewalk, you can run it onto your driveway, you can run it onto your yard. You could not direct rainwater towards your neighbor's structure. That was it. A couple of years later, they said, well, you know what, you probably don't want to go out into sidewalks and to the road, because that'll cause icing, people will fall, people will wreck their cars. So they said, driveways, yards, do not direct it towards your neighbor's structure. The last seminar I went to is they're recommending 2 things, rain barrels and into a green area. So every 3 years, they pretty much change what they recommend, because no one realized that if you have the problems we have right now, you run it out into the street, what happens? People walk into their cars, fall, get hurt. People running out to their sidewalks, people walking their dogs, walking kids to school, guess what happens? They fall, get hurt.
When we went to your neighbor's house, all that water funnels right into his backyard. He has a swimming pool here. The water comes right there and sits on the other side of his water, of his thing. We looked into this earlier in the summer, and what we were told is there's some things out there that the neighbors could put in their yards to cover this. That was what we were told then. We will get that. We talked last week when Colin was here and at the DEP meeting that we'll have some workshops here to help the residents with that. There's some other workshops here. The DEP, Brian Schimmel, who was here, he gave me some things that we're going to put into place to have these workshops so they can come in and people can see what they have.
Gentlemen, I'm not accusing anybody here of the thing of it is when they make the decree, have a solution to the decree you make. It just went from, this is what we want you to do, but we don't know where it's going to go from this point on. And obviously, it went from the decree to my property.
And that's why, how many months ago was it when I suggested that we need to get Senator Costa involved? Because this is the state that did this. The state maybe could change it.
I went to his office.
It's the federal government.
I went to his office, and her name is Jamie. She's like second in command. She had told me, if you think that the federal government or the state's going to do anything, she said, you're dreaming. She flat out told me that.
May I-
So-
may I say
So
one-
the people, I'm sorry.
May I say one thing about this? This is my job, this is what I do, it's my profession. In the city of Pittsburgh, they would not allow you to run the rainwater.
Here's the law, because that's my problem too.
The mayor
Oh,
was,
thank you.
I thought I was talking.
I'm sorry,
Same problem as me,
I
Rick.
just want them to read this
I
right.
have the same problem in my house. My neighbor, he has his downspout go in his yard goes, the water goes into his yard, onto his south, onto my south. My sidewalk's with it. Can I say it's because his rainwater?
So I should just basically accept it and that's it, right? So here's,
I mean, we're
here,
all in, we have problems everywhere.
here again, the issue lies like this.
I'm sorry, Rick.
Joey, where Joey lives. If somebody were to come up, Joey would put his house up for sale, and I would put my house up for sale, and somebody would come up on a rainy day and walk out in our backyards, do you think that they would buy our house? It isn't happening. So basically, the value of my home and my property went down the tubes because of this. But I'm still paying the taxes on what it should be going for. Right?
Well, mine's only bad whenever we have these really, really bad downpours for 2 or 3 days. That's whenever the stuff comes down over my backyard. Otherwise, I mean, I still get water there, but it's all funneled out into the street. So, I don't have the issue you have. I'm not losing my yard because we do have a railroad tie wall built back there it's pretty sturdy, and that's holding the whole hillside back.
And there again, as I said before, and I don't know if you guys remember me saying this, because I've approached council many times before. Our former mayor piped his rain gutters into my backyard. Into my backyard. The company that cleans his gutters and does his roofs and all that stuff, I saw them, I says, could you please tell the mayor that his downspouts are piped into my backyard, which again, now I'm getting double the amount of rain or water in my yard. And he says, I'll tell him, Kev. I says, okay. He came back to me. He says, the mayor said, he said, it's going to cost me $400. I really don't have it. Well, what's that do for me? So, do I take quick cement and stuff up his downspouts? Or do I just let it drain on my yard? In my backyard? Gentlemen, I need somebody to, and again, I said this before, I need somebody to tell me, this is what's up, this is what we're going to try to do, or, hey, Kev, you're on your own.
Well, I think I will send you an email with some of the solutions that the DEP gave us.
Is the DEP going to pay for some of them solutions, or is that all on me?
You're the homeowner.
It would seem to me you would have a case against the mayor. That's, if he did that,
Well,
was wrong.
you know what, Mr. Tishon, you're absolutely right. The gentleman is elderly, the gentleman is sick. I do not want to do that. When I see a for sale sign going up on that house is when I approach the realtor company. I couldn't do that to the man, you know what I mean? I've been his neighbor for 41 years. I can't do that.
yeah, understandable.
Nor would I do it to anybody else in here.
I understand.
So, again, I'm the homeowner. I can't claim that on my insurance. So basically, it's all out-of-pocket stuff that I have to fix stuff that wasn't caused by me.
So, can I speak a little bit? Because I was talking and I was interrupted.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So, I was there at the meeting with the DEP agent, and he was a very nice man, and he looked at your property, and he was very surprised at how much property you have. And one of his thoughts was for you to put a retention system up in your upper area to try and slow the water down going over the hillside.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing that he said. But secondly, he said, he looked at that culvert, and that's something that you just can't deal with. That's beyond you. So I think what you should look, how I would take it is, I would do whatever I can on your property to deal with your problem up there. And then I would ask Munhall to look at what's going on with these culverts? Is this municipal water coming into your property, and go from there? That way, you're at least doing something on your part to be done with your problems up at the top. And obviously there's an issue at the bottom as well. It's a twofold problem.
Yes, sir.
So I think that's your answer, to be honest. I don't see how, honestly, I don't see how you can say that it's not something that you have to not deal with, because there's a lot of hillside that goes up above you.
Yes,
comes
there
down
is.
there as well. And we didn't go and look through every house up on Woodhill to see where their water is directed. I don't know if there's pipes being directed back at that property or not. I mean, you'd have to really walk up there and really take a good walk through all the properties up through there, take a real solid look at everything. But that would be my suggestion, is just as a person, not as a councilman, not as a mayor, that's how I would go about it. And I'm done speaking, so thank you.
And the engineer, that when I spoke at an actual meeting, and also at the sewer commission that I went to, said, well, could you go up and take pictures of the people's downspouts? I'm going to go in your backyard and take a picture? That's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. I don't want to get shot. I'm going to go in your backyard and take pictures? Yeah, no, that ain't happening. But anyway, I just wanted to come down here because I felt that I should have been privy to the meeting the other day, and I wasn't. So, but anyway, thanks for hearing me out. And if I hear from you, I do. If not, I guess I have to go somewhere else to alleviate the problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Yo.
Just so you know, they came through my property to get to yours. I told them to watch out for stinging piles of happiness.
Yow. That's all right, Pat. I don't care. I mean, I hope they got to see what they wanted to see.
Here's the report if you want to read it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving right
Can we
along.
continue here?
Yeah, we sure continue.
Thanks.
Paving and bidding paving.
Yes, paving, you'll see in the 2-page report, we gave this a couple months ago. This is what our game plan is for the year, of what streets we're going to pave. It's very aggressive. We're going to bid it the way it is anyways, see where it comes in at. Maybe it'll come less than we want. We may have to make some cutbacks. We'd like to award this in the April meeting.
When you say award this, you mean
We
we'll already
would like to bid it out and get the bids back in.
Okay.
And approve it.
See how it comes out.
Yeah.
Right.
So would that mean next week's meeting that we need to advertise and ask for
Right, authorize engineer to
go
bid it.
out and put it out for bid. So we'll do that in March, and in April we will accept the best responsible bidder.
These are the
Lowest
street
responsible
rates.
bidder.
Yeah.
These are the worst ones?
Yeah, those are the ones we're on a 5-year project, finishing them up.
And there are a lot of bad that haven't made it yet. We're gonna be getting on there soon.
Every time I say it's an aggressive project, you guys want to add more and more.
No, just
Hey,
saying.
I was up by Ellsworth, you know that's not a good street, we'll have to deal with that next year.
2023.
Yeah, we haven't dealt with it yet, so, oh man.
Okay,
Pushing
so
a lot to be 24.
we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting, right, for March, and I'm gonna call it go out,
Right,
get some bids for us and approve it in April.
right.
Number
Turtle
6, you got it?
Creek Valley Community Services property. As we all know, we had to go up there and look at some parking spots. We're taking some away. We would have to take some away, so we'd have to give some back. We went up there, we looked at it, see what we did. Colin is putting the verbalization together now, so we can send it to Turtle Creek Valley to see if it's agreed upon between the 3 parties.
And that's on the parking.
That's on the parking phase. Once that's agreeable, everyone says agreeable, then we could take the next step.
And the next step, that would be to.
That would be to see if we
The
want to
feasibility
move
of
forward.
it, right,
Right.
feasibility, if the price, the cost,
Right,
so forth.
right.
So we have not signed that contract yet that locks us into 60 days. That we have 60 days to have people look at the building, look at the property, discuss on what improvements we need to do and not do, and then we're locked into a contract with them. Have we signed that yet?
I'm not aware of anything like
Okay.
that.
You did one that brought those, didn't we have that in front of us? I remember seeing that as well.
Not since I've been doing it.
They've asked today, and I'm pretty sure I
It was
signed
given to
it.
Greg, and Greg, you know, made some adjustments to it or something. There was something that was given to Greg.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if something's given to Greg about 60 days, it's over. It's over a year.
I did see.
So we still are not locked into a contract about to purchase the property.
I'm not aware of anyone signing anything.
Good.
Does anyone else sign
I
anything?
don't recall signing anything about it.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't, you know, I mean, we've been talking about this, you know, first time I was ever in that property was January of 2017, over a year ago. He took me in it and walked around and looked at it, and like some of the other council did.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the only thing that I've been involved, you know, remember about it. And then to talk about the parking spots recently,
Right.
that we need to negotiate, because if we would go there, they wanted so many parking spots, and of course,
Right.
we want so many.
I mean, June 1st of last year, we had the meeting, when we, you know, this is some of the things the questions they had, these are some of the answers that we had, and we wanted to do. Remember, they wanted to know if we wanted all three? And, remember, you said,
Right.
yeah, let's take them all, remember?
Yeah.
And,
The back one too.
and then we went back to them and said, okay, this is what we agree upon, and this is, we would move them somewhat forward, once they got the attorney. Remember, they got the attorney and everything, so, the next step was, we assumed, I mean, the big question was, we assumed if we take over ownership of a piece of property, that all the parking on our property would be ours. Well, there's a legal document stating that that's not the case. Therefore, if we take 75 spots away from one entity, we gotta replace them. And then they wanted us to, and add some more. We wanted to take some, different things like that. So it's just a verbalization. What they did, what Public Works went and did, Bob, his group went up there and looked and said, okay, this is the way it looks, but this is the way it can look, and we could add 30 more spots and everything. So we don't think it's gonna be an issue. We got a drawing of where we're gonna put them, but we don't wanna just say, okay, these are yours, or these are ours, or these are theirs. We wanna say, okay, we have the spots there, so because when everyone's living there together, it's nice to say, okay, who needs what, and let's put our spots now where we need them. And that's where we are with that.
Okay, so that's it with that. Let's go on.
That's it, just wanted to give you an update. Hopefully, we have that verbalization done early, and we could, vote to move the next step next week.
Okay, waterfront property. Okay, this was put on the agenda by you, Joe.
Right. What are we gonna do with it?
Yeah, you want to know.
Nothing was
what
decided
is
last
the-
time. The only thing that
is
was
happening?
decided was to take everything off the table except for the mayor applying for the grant. Okay. I mean, we were accused of a lot of things. I mean, we were accused of not advertising it properly. I wasn't even here when you guys advertised it, so I don't know who made the suggestion, how it was made, that we were underhandedly doing stuff. What are we gonna do with this? I mean,
I'd like to
any
chime in, Joe.
suggestions? Okay.
You know, the people that were here at last month's meeting, you know, they had a certain thing in mind. 2 points that stuck out for me. It was the perception. Now, I know we did due diligence. I know we did. All right, but the perception out there is that we didn't. So my position now is that we show that we are going to do due diligence, and we put that advert. I would like it again. I said it at the last meeting. I don't like the idea that Munhall Borough is in the real estate business. We shouldn't be, but we should in fact advertise in the Post-Gazette, some real estate journals, and reach out to who the devil is out there that would be interested in a property like this at that particular site. Number one. Also, something that was struck a chord with me there was the issue of transparency. And if someone thinks that we're not doing something in a transparent manner, that's what they think. Whether it's in fact true or not. That's how they perceive us, which is not good. So, again, we should be as transparent and diligent and proceed, again, with the selling or with the development or the leasing or something with this property. Sitting there just the way it is makes no sense to me at all.
I understand what you're just saying, but it sat there for so long. Now that we pulled it off, what's the hurry?
There's been no hurry.
No, but it's been sitting there for how long? It sat there for so long, nobody even knew it was there. Until we wanted to sell it, then they knew it was there for some reason.
Well, we knew it was there because we weren't getting the tax money on it.
But it sat there, Jason, before.
But there's no reason not to act hard.
Rick,
There's no reason not.
What was it, a year and a half or something like that there?
Yeah.
We had that. We acquired that land,
We
right?
acquired the land a year ago.
Okay, a year
Just
ago.
about a year ago.
The only
A year
thing,
and a couple months.
only thing with that, I didn't speak up. I should have. My thing was that day, that last month, when we acquired that land a year ago. Nobody said, "What are you going to do with it?" Come to a council meeting and said, "What are you going to do with it?" One person did, and she wasn't here the last council meeting. I was looking for her, but she's here now. One person, when we acquired that land, asked, "What are you going to do with it?"
Which is a good question.
Right. That was the only person, and she's here now. Right, Donna? I remember.
Thank you.
Nobody else came here and said, "What are you going to do with that land, Monroe?" And nobody asked, but she did. But I'm just, that's my thing is when I see something down there. Rick, I was at Cold Springs Saturday. God, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
That's beautiful.
I agree.
Would that go down there? I don't know. Would I like to see it down there? Yeah.
35 million.
I understand what that is.
So,
but somebody had the money.
Absolutely, someone has the money. And when we first acquired that building, Harvey, that property, I'm sorry, we should have been proud that we had acquired it. We should have advertised that we had it, we acquired it, and what we intended to do with it was to put a park and recreational facility down there. That's what it was acquired for.
No, we acquired the land. The only thing that was said, and Donna, if I'm wrong, tell me. But the only thing that was said, if we acquire that land, Dan Lloyd said ice skating rink.
He wanted an
That
ice
was the
skating
only thing
rink.
said.
Right.
Nothing about a park. Nothing about anything.
No, if you read the actual papers.
I'm talking about right here. Rick.
Right.
Nothing was said.
No.
About
it
a
should
park
have
or
been
this.
said. It should have been said.
But it wasn't.
It was.
One councilman, he's on Councilman Moore, said the same thing John said. We shouldn't be in the real estate business. And the other person was John and asked that. Other than that, nobody said, "What are you going to do with this?" Nobody said a word.
So
well, I'd like to see something done yet. But what did Kevin Williams say? Didn't he say something about West Mifflin 2 times or something?
Yeah, you have to advertise it.
No,
Same
that's
way
what
we
Greg
did the
said.
last
You
time, you
have to
advertise
advertise
again.
it 2 times before you can give it to a
realtor.
realtor.
Right.
He said that's some of the.
I mean, if that's what you're talking about, John, doing that, I
think
would
that's a
still
good
say,
idea.
I would say that advertise it, but do the same thing. Don't go to the first whatever, and then turn it over.
Well,
if you want
it
it.
says we have to advertise it in the same exact way that we did it the first time.
Okay.
But I think we ought to expand our ad. I mean, we were accused of not putting it in good publications. Let's go to all the major cities on the East Coast and put it in there. This way, we can, get it out there. Let's get it out there. See, and let the market establish what the value of that property is. I mean, I think that's the only way it's going to be. I mean, you can get it appraised, but they can appraise it for anything they want. But is that what you're actually going to sell it for? You don't know. You don't know. You may. But I think the market has to establish the value of that property. The only way that's going to happen is if we do advertise it outside of the Pittsburgh area.
Here.
I mean, let's go. I mean, how far do we want to go? East Coast, want to go to Chicago?
Let's tell Joe to get it advertised. Let's start.
Let's slow down for a second.
Let's start.
Can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, here's the workshop. We were just talking.
Yeah.
I know. So
Don't tell me to slow down.
I didn't tell you to
I
slow
didn't.
down.
Wish you did.
I was trying to speak, and you guys.
No, I was speaking on him
Excuse
too.
me. Could you slow down a little bit,
No,
please?
I'll slow down when I'm ready.
Well, Can I speak now?
Go ahead now.
Am I allowed?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
If I cut in, don't holler.
I won't haul. So I would like to invite all of you fellas, councilmen, people of the community, to get together and let's look at what our options are. First off, have you gone to any of the other municipal programs that people have, other towns have? They have some wondrous things out there. Hampton Township has a great community building out there. They do all kinds of stuff.
It's huge. I
What
agree.
is huge. We don't have the property to do that.
Right.
West Deer Township has a fantastic place. It may be even nicer than Hampton's. Green Tree Borough has a big recreational building out there. It's privately owned. I was in Green Tree today talking to the Green Tree management at their borough building and looking what they have. They have a swimming pool in their community. Monroeville has a recreational program that is unmatched probably anywhere. They have a huge recreational facility down up there that's privately owned. We should go out and be talking to all these people before we sell the property. Why would we not want to have an investment in our town that our people can use and benefit from? Why would we not want to do that? Why would we not want to facilitate the property that we have and talk to people and see if they're willing to come to our town and put a building there? Or put a park there, or whatever you want to call it, but my words have been twisted about a park. I mean, I would love to see a recreational facility down there. I have to watch what I say because it'll be turned into a kickball park down there. So I invite all you councilmen to come with me and let's look around and see what's out there first before we go ahead and ask the world to come and buy our property off of us. Why don't we go to these people that are already in this business doing this and ask them to come and look and see? We already had one gentleman here that wants to put a building up down there. He's not properly ready yet right now to do it, but the concept is there, and the people of the town would benefit from it immensely. Another thing is, why don't we approach Carnegie Library and ask them if they would like to work together with us on putting a building down there? They could run the building down there. They are indeed remnants of Andrew Carnegie's empire. He did build that. They do still have the Carnegie Endowment. It's out of New York. They don't give a lot of money out for recreational stuff like that. Exceptions could be made. People need to put a little bit of work into trying to facilitate something down there instead of taking the easy road and saying, well, let's just put it up for sale. That's the easy way out. I don't agree with it one bit. We acquired this property for recreational use for our town, and we have an obligation to try and do it first before we exhaust. Just kick it down the road and let's get rid of it. I think that's foolish to do. And I invite you all to come and work with me and do that. And I've invited you all before. I invite you again to let's all get together. Let's go look and see what's out there. Let's talk to people. Let's invite people into our town. We could have a very nice building down there. I think so. It could be done. So I invite you all to do that. I invite the public to come and join with me to do that. I'm going to invite the mayor's advisory board to come and do that with me. We are going to do that. So we are going to work forward to that. Hopefully council is willing to work with me. And that's all I have to say.
Well, wait till you're done.
Don't
I'm
worry.
not getting yelled at.
Lessons are Sergeant of Arms.
In other words, like if somebody like, say Aaron Donald was here,
Right.
he's moving his money anywhere, he's gone. But say he has the money and wanted to buy that and put a building there, buy the land.
Right.
Would you be okay with that?
Sure. Why would I not be?
No, I'm just asking a question.
Why would you
But
not
if, say, Joe wants to buy it, and he wants to put a sports thing here, you're okay with that?
I am. Why would I not be?
I'm just asking a question.
Absolutely.
I mean, as long as there's use
But if
for the borough.
she bought it and just wanted to put buildings on there, you wouldn't be okay with that?
I would not.
Okay, that's all.
I would not be
I'm
for
done.
that. I would like to see something built down there, and I don't know what size building there would be done or what could eventually be done down there. But I certainly would like to see it for the people of the community to take part in and use it, and get something to bring people into the waterfront. The waterfront community wants to see something like that. They're all in if we can do it. So I think they were a community that could help us too.
And that Cold Springs, Pat, out there, the guy used to own Cold Springs, the original one where it started. That's incorporated. He still owns that building. Highmark at the top floor.
The guy who built that, I believe he's some kind of medical software engineer.
But the Cold Springs is still part owners of that.
But he had big money.
I'm saying, but Highmark's on top of it. They got the whole top floor.
And that's why I agree with, Harvey a little bit. There is no hurry. There is no rush. Let's take our time and let's do it right. Whether we bring in business partnerships to work with us on it, we do, as the mayor said, and check out Hampton and check out Green Tree, who have some similar facilities that aren't putting their own money into it, that they're somehow got people coming in and they're working with them on it. Because I can't see how these other communities can, afford great facilities for their, at no charge. It has to be something. Somebody has to be a backer of it,
Sure they do.
to come in and do it. And I'm sure that's what they're all doing. So, I'd love to see them. Yeah.
Rob, I'm going to add one thing if I can. There's all this focus on diligence to slow down and focus on this property and seek funding from the state or federal level for it, and I'm okay with that. But and there's also this comment about, well, families want more amenities. We want to bring families into town. We have half a dozen parks now. We just spent $30,000 on for a year-long study. We continue to focus on this one piece of property as nothing and ignore everything else that we already have. If we're going to do all this due diligence, then let's not put one area over the other. All the parks need to be properly funded and properly attended to. I'm not okay with focusing all the attention on this one piece of property at the expense of all these other parks that we don't care about. We have stuff now that could be an attraction to families. We're doing nothing towards them. So if we're going to seek funding, how's it not true? We've done nothing with that study. We've done nothing with that study since we got it. And all the talk about is getting grants for down there, including a fence. That's $150,000 that we probably could have fixed 3 of those other parks with.
Did you write a grant for it?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I don't know where to begin.
I didn't either until I got involved and did it. But I did do it.
But we're being narrow-minded.
We're not being narrow-minded.
We're looking at one piece of property.
No, I disagree.
Well, when you want to start talking about the other parks, let me know.
You were on the Parks and Rec Board for 2 years.
I was, and that's why we have that.
That's why we have that, because you were on the Parks and Rec Board.
Well, you just said I was on the Parks and Rec Board.
I'd like to just address one thing you said, Mayor, and the facilities in Hampton and Greentree and Deer Lakes, they are huge. They are bigger than Munhall Borough almost. The parks itself. That's how much property they have. We don't. Right? We have that property there, which I just read a report on. That there was a study done, which I haven't been able to digest yet, but that is not a similar property at all. Anyone with an ounce of sense who could see that property and judge that you're going to have little kids running around through grass and doing whatever they're going to do in a park, I'll never understand that. It just wouldn't work for that particular purpose.
And there you go, Mr. Tishon, twisting my words.
I didn't twist a thing.
Absolutely.
Tell me what I twisted.
You don't want a park.
You just twisted my words into a park with a kickball, like I said earlier.
Well, you
I'm not
did say
looking
that.
for that. No. You misconstrue things. You like to twist things that I did not say.
Well, tell me what you
said. I told
said.
you I'm not talking about building a kickball park where kids are going to play on the grass. I want to put a recreational facility. If you notice, I've said recreational facility all night long because you've construed this to twist and turn things that are not my words.
Well, I think a recreational facility would work.
And furthermore,
one that was presented I thought made sense.
And furthermore, Troutman Field does need a little bit of work done.
It needs a lot of work.
And most of the work that's been done down there has been done by the people who have been partnerships of running the facility down there. Okay? which I've been a big part of for my life growing up, and I have to tell you, it was a very important part of my life.
It's wonderful.
I got the time with my children for 15 years of each one growing up and going through that park. Mr. Verhola did the same thing. Mr. Petruzzi's been there as well. Mr. Petruzzi used to coach me baseball in this field back here. So there is a lot of things that are twisted a little bit in my conception of what a park is. I would love to have a park where we had a pavilion and be able to have a picnic, but there is no picnic pavilion in Munhall right now that we can do that with. So I really question the property down there as well. The size of it is not as big as Cool Springs is ever going to be, or any of these other properties, but there is 7.5 acres there which could be built to put a house that could house a nice sized building down there that could be for recreation.
I would agree with that.
Thanks.
Can I say something now? Everybody done? Mr. Verhoeven, can somebody explain this thing that's in our pack for, that we got from the engineers? Has everyone looked at this report from the engineers?
I'm just
looking at it now. I mean, I highlighted some stuff. Some of this stuff just doesn't look. It's in there. It says House Chester. Yeah, I guess, I don't know when you got March 14th, which would have been today. The first time I'm seeing this, our engineer is not here.
Well,
Is
here's,
that the first chance we've had? Is that the first time it's been presented?
This is it, Jeff.
if I could
These are
say,
the reports that I guess Mr. Brennan had before, the environmental studies. Okay,
These are the reports that I presented here last meeting.
Okay, and I guess
that I gave to Colin, our engineer, to look over. Yes,
Right.
these are the reports that I went out and got.
Okay.
Yes, there was nothing that anyone else on council did. I did that, correct.
you can pat yourself on the back
I'm not.
for it.
I'm
Yes, you
not.
are, but let's
but
go
we're
on
not
from there.
We're not playing crap.
No, we're not. I just want to know what the report says. Did you read the report
I've not read
before
the
you had it?
report. I've not read the report yet.
Oh, then maybe you should have.
How could anyone read the report if you just got it?
We got that, sir, this is what we got. A 2-page report.
First step.
Colin, the one you got, you gave to Colin. Colin, I guess, did a Reader's Digest version of what was in there.
Okay.
the process,
Is it in your pack?
I haven't had a
Is it the
chance
last
to
2
read it. I
pages,
just
Joe?
got
Is it
it.
the last couple pages,
I'm just
Joe?
looking at the number 3.
Last 3, is that this one we're talking about right here?
if I can explain,
No, before that.
if I can explain the process of this. This was, we got the engineering report was a couple hundred pages long.
Right.
It was very difficult. It was in engineering terms. You can read this report, and if you don't know what they're talking about, it's like reading Spanish. Not to insult anyone's intelligence in this room, it'd be difficult for anybody to read this and give us and tell us what it is.
It seemed to me he did a pretty good consensus.
Right. So,
I haven't read it yet.
Colin Lampark went to Bob Warren and Doug Spiber and said, hey, you guys are environmental engineers. You work with this every day. Could you read this and get me a report? So he did that. They put a 3-page or 5-page report together for Colin. And then Colin, in return, said, hey, I don't think that's good enough to give the council. I think we need to summarize it a little bit more. And that's what Joe's talking about, I believe.
Actually, this is what's in my pack.
Where's your pack?
That's right, you grabbed it.
Yeah, this is what's in
Seems
my
to
pack.
That's the one you looked at?
Sensibly
Is that the same one? Did I get it?
Yes.
Yeah, makes
That's what
sense.
it
Oh, you
is.
might be the
Reader's Digest version.
And put it in.
Yeah, this is the one too.
Yes.
No, this is the Colin.
I got mine, yeah, right.
Is that the Colin or is that to me?
Oh, this is the one to you, Joe.
This one here.
Yeah, I don't know if I got that much.
Green.
Thank you.
This
Yeah.
one here,
Did I?
and there's a 1-page that tells you.
So obviously, Joe, you read it, so tell us about it.
Oh, there it is.
You got it?
Oh, well, let's
Did I get
see.
it?
It's saying that there's lead on this property. All right?
It says a lot more.
It says a lot more. Okay, the average
I
lead
didn't see it.
concentration of 4
There.
samples collected on Form J.
Okay, now I got it.
It exceeds both Pennsylvania State and Non-Residential Development and Environmental Protection Agency screening levels for child exposure on residential sites by 15 and 30% respectively.
You give me two.
Okay, the lead concentration detected in the soil boring ASB is more than 4 times the PA, SHS, and EPA screening levels. I'm just telling you what's here. First time I'm seeing this, I'll give you, I mean, I got 2 copies
Well,
of my pen.
and this
I
was,
got one now.
this was started conversation at the meeting with Colin, and I asked Colin, I said, Colin, and I asked the DEP agent this as well, representative, not agent. If that's the case, then maybe we need to look at the people who are living in the waterfront then. And they're living down there, and I'm sure that if there's problems with this area, then I'm hoping that there's not problems where people are living down there, and this could really blow up into a real ugly
Yes.
situation.
Well, Rick, I don't think you understand. I mean, have you ever been on a mill site, in a mill site?
I have.
Yeah, were you ever in Homestead Works?
I have.
You were?
I have.
Okay, where the apartments were built down there, that was the shoreline. There wasn't anything there. Where this property is, Harvey just told me it's what, it was the soaking pits for the hundred?
All the structure.
All the structural
It was
soaking
the
pits.
structural steel.
Yeah, well, I worked in the structural mill, so I sort of understand a little bit about this. I mean, it's the different areas. You know, one area could be good, and one area, you know, can be, you know,
Well,
I'm
I
sure
have
they
a-
did soil sampling down here before they built anything.
And
Huh? Hey, I'm
Mr.
just saying, this is what you brought, Rick.
No, I didn't bring it up.
No, this
You're
is the
bringing it up
environmental
now.
study that you brought.
You're bringing up. in
I am
public.
bringing up the report that
So-
came from the study that you brought
Right,
in.
and Colin, in speaking with him, said that it would have to be retested again because it has been done such a long time ago.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. But what it's here,
And also it says, he said that the verbiage, he didn't say what he wrote there, yet when I was at the meeting.
I haven't talked to him, so I don't know. I'm just reading what it says right here.
Read that again, would you?
I mean, I was gonna bring up a
I'm
point.
not reading
None
it.
of us are,
Okay.
as far as I know, I may be wrong,
Yeah.
but none of us are qualified in here
We're
to
not
answer these
qualified.
questions other
I'm
than
just
Colin.
wondering.
Colin is the only one that's qualified to answer these questions that we have here, so.
And the man from
I
the
mean, he
state.
answered some of them, and I appreciate the work he did.
Yeah.
And he did water it down for us a little bit, not saying it.
The gentleman
Just saw
from
it
the
today.
state did say that they would love to mitigate
I just saw
properties
this.
and they would be more than happy to reuse brownfields. And the whole waterfront is a brownfield. So
Definitely.
it's already been done. I'm sure if we do something there, we're not gonna be having children in a unhealthy or unsafe environment, period.
Well, all I'm saying is what I'm reading right here. Did you get a copy of this?
I have it, I just got it.
Okay, I just got it.
I haven't
too,
had
and
a
I
chance
looked
to
through it.
read
The
it.
key word in there says exceeds.
Yes.
Right.
That's what it says, exceeds.
Exceeds.
It was done in 2014, I believe, right?
I thought it was done
Phase
earlier
one,
than that.
phase two.
It was done earlier than that, I thought.
Well, phase one,
I don't know.
phase two.
When they were putting the bike trail in there is when it was done.
Down there.
Oh, it was 2000, okay.
But that's all it says.
So that's 3 years, 2.5, 3 years.
So going through all that, are we gonna advertise, what are you gonna do?
Well, we can't vote on anything now
Yeah,
anyhow.
I'd like to
I
have
mean,
consensus.
that's something, you know, that if
You
you want,
can't.
we can bring it up. Yeah, we can't
Just,
vote on that.
I'd like to make one more point.
Okay.
If the ground or the property is as in bad shape as it seems to be in this report,
Oh my.
the cost of Munhall cleaning it up would be prohibitive. Okay? If someone is interested in it, and I'm guessing probably we won't be able to generate any interest in the property now. I think we're going to have a dickens of a time getting people interested in that property. But if we do, it would be incumbent on them to clean it up, and them, whoever they are, to invest whatever monies they see is due them to put the property into the kind of shape that it could be, constructive for Munhall Borough in the way of tax. That's my say.
Yeah.
Well, my say is, Mr. Battles read a couple of paragraphs there. He
Right,
doesn't know what
just
the hell
one.
he's reading. I don't know what he's reading.
I would
None
say
of
we
us
all
here-
take it home and digest it.
None of us here have an idea what we're reading. Mr. Colin Kaepernick should probably.
We ain't got no Colin Kaepernick.
No. Colin, how do you pronounce his last name? Lampard, I'm sorry.
I wish he was Colin Kaepernick.
I do too.
I don't.
He's still.
I like him just the way he is.
I think.
Yeah, he
I mean-
stands up for the.
I think, my own opinion, I'd like to move on with this for now. I think just 1 month is too early to say we're gonna advertise this right now again. I would like more time to digest everything and think this over. It's not even been a month, and we're already bringing up advertising again. I'm not ready to do it. That's just my point, and I'd like to move on.
Rob, can I ask a real quick question? Is there a way, I asked Joe, not behind nobody's back, can we go to JA and just ask them why they gave this land up?
Because they owed a couple $1,000s.
No. Why would you give it up? I just want to know why. It was U.S. Steel. They gave it to them.
Now, they're a $27 million corporation, right? Why did they just give assets away? I don't understand it either.
That's all I want to know. Okay, Joe, Rob, I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
I'm definitely.
Thank you. Okay, summer help.
We have six individuals that either put an application in or want to come back. Bob knows the four to come back, and he endorsed them all. My suggestion is we're going to need more than this, especially if we do what we want to do with the parks.
Yeah, if we get that program going, we're gonna need at least 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
We're going to need more than these 6. I like the next week.
7?
I have 6 right now. We're going to need 8 or 9, maybe 10. I like to get these on the agenda for next week. The motion to move forward before some of these may go out and try to find something else. Especially some of the older ones may try to get an internship or something. But if they know they got a commitment to us, we want them because we can put they're older. We can put them on garbage, and they really help us a lot.
They worked for us before, Jeff?
They did work for us for a couple of them for 2 years, one for 3 years. But these are the guys that know the job, can go out and do the job, and they could help us just like regular full-time employees.
How much do we have budgeted for summer help? Do we have a line item for that?
We do.
And what is the amount there?
You're gonna put me on the spot to memorize that whole thing on camera.
I'm just asking.
Let Donna ask those questions.
I'm just asking.
I mean, we have an amount sufficient to cover these wages.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Oh
have
yeah. We always
8.
8 or 10.
That's all we had. That's all we had 8 kids.
Yeah.
Since we don't have enough right now, do we need to advertise to get more?
We should.
I would hold off with that for a little bit because don't forget they're here till June. High school kids go to June. I would like to see so people that really want the job and going to advertise aren't people that really want to and are planning on doing it because it is March.
The kids coming back will happen. And the other ones, maybe we should advertise for.
Yeah,
Just to
the
keep it,
applications on there.
just to give everybody a fair playing field, fair shot.
Okay.
That wasn't where I was going, but.
No, I thought you were, I'm sorry.
Well, he said we need more than those 6. That's why
Yeah.
I said, well, if we don't have enough applicants now, how do we get more? That's where I was going.
But you only had, wanted to hire last year 6 or 7 or 8.
I think we want 8.
And we ended up with what, about 5? 6. So,
And some of those high school kids, they don't come till June.
Right.
So we got plenty of time before we have to advertise.
Okay.
Not that we need to advertise yet, that would be in
Right,
April.
that's what I
We do.
mean.
We go off to April for advertising, but we could approve these ones now, so the college kids can start in May.
Right, I would like to, that's what I would like to do. Right, Bob? Is that what you want to do?
yeah, well.
All right. Is that yes?
I think that's what we're gonna do.
I'll put them on the motion. All right, number
Goal
9.
site.
We were approached by T-Mobile to put a site on the, on number 1 fire department, a site meaning an antenna. With this antenna, you would bring $1,200 a month which should pay for almost all the upkeep of all the fire departments. Any questions?
Is there a motion?
What question you
There
asked?
will be
Do
one
we have
next.
to have a
There will
motion?
be one next week. But any questions on this T-Mobile? To me,
No.
talking to the guy, put everything in your packets. It sounds like a no-brainer to me.
I agree.
Rob, you're up.
I'm up. Oh, the sergeant testing extension.
Jeff, before you go on, I had a question and I wanted to give you some foresight on where technology is going towards as you're talking about towers. So the big thing now is they're increasing bandwidth. And since we're in a town that has a high elevation, you know, and you get approached by AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, and Sprint, the newer technology that they're steering towards is 5G. And there's threefold to that. One is going, you know, they have a 2.5 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz range. What they're trying to do is they're going for a higher bandwidth. They also have this new technology called beaming technology, which gives you a line of sight. So, in essence, places where you have higher elevations and buildings that have high elevations, the road has a chance, you know, in seeing the future, that when somebody, to explain it to you real simply, basically if somebody comes in our area, they want to hit the internet with a device, you know, instead of them always getting, you know, a particular signal, you know, it basically beams. Okay, so there's another technology that's coming out, which means that when I make a connection, it knows and it sends it right to you, which then alleviates carrying so many people on one different network. So I just wanted to, you know, tell you to have the foresight as you're starting to get approached by companies like these companies, that you have an opportunity, you know, to have some of the fire halls or some of the buildings to make extra money and revenue with that. Especially, you know, with the borough and with having the waterfront property like that. Just to have that insight where technology is steering towards. You know, internet and cellular, everybody has these devices. They say that, you know, people younger than, you know, us and younger have up to 3 devices that are hitting the internet. Cars that are driving through have to have those type of issues.
Oh, we're definitely going to try to go for it. I mean, we're definitely going to try to do something with this. And we
Yeah,
will
but I
try
just
to
wanted
make
to
sure
tell
that it's
you
the best technology that's out there.
Are
And
you
we're not
saying
putting something
more
that's 10 years
revenue
old.
than the rest?
So,
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you're going to continue to be approached by companies in the future, Verizon and things of that nature, and to always be aware of that. But you know,
We don't tell anybody we won't meet. If they talk about
yeah,
revenue,
but, you know,
we'll meet with
and
them.
that's something. But,
We're
you
meeting.
know, but for you to be aware, you know, you can also attract them, Joe. You know, as having this insight, you know, saying, hey, you know, just being ahead of the game. And saying, you know, what's the highest?
we were approached, not me, I shouldn't say we, Joe was approached,
I think it's
and
a
I
great
think it's a
idea.
good idea that Joe meets with this guy about this, you know, and I'm not going to put a hold on it.
Yeah,
The
but,
other
I mean,
option-
That's one company out of how many cellular
We'll
companies?
be more than happy to sit with anyone.
If
I
anyone
know
wants to
where
come
you
up,
were
you
going
know,
with that
listen
question.
to-
I'd suggest we try to get more money for that.
That's
There's
perfect.
more value. Sounds like there's a lot of value.
That's a good thought. I didn't think of that.
And I would think of that. I did
Probably.
think of that. So he says, okay, you don't want on number 1 for $1,200? We'll go across the street to John Smith's house and give him $1,200. You get nothing.
Be smart.
I already thought of
Yeah,
that.
we
I
wish.
appreciate
Well,
the
I
insight.
give it a try.
Yeah,
We'll do our due
it's,
We-
I had, when I met with him, here's what he said. Here it is, take it or leave it.
That's because you're working with probably the lower level. If you work up higher, you can be more strategic in your conversation.
Yeah,
How about that?
we'll look into it. Yeah, it's,
Okay, the sergeant testing. We did a sergeant's test. Pat, when was the sergeant's test, please? You remember when it was? I don't know if the exact date, but was it about last
Yeah,
June?
December.
May-
Yeah, it was about approximately a year, maybe a little
Now,
more than a year.
the extension on it, Brett, so if something would come, not that we're ready to hire another sergeant,
No, there, you could.
but
extend
you
it
could do a
instead
one-year
of-
extension at no,
my
Rather than-
recommendation is to extend it for a year, just so if, you know, if something would occur, we can move forward without having to go through another testing procedure.
The cost of the test and everything again, right.
And it's already in place, we're allowed to extend it for a year, why not? We've done that with our other list in the past.
Right, I'd like to put that on the agenda for next week. If anybody else has any comments, to extend the sergeant test for 1 year. I guess we would have to get in
The
touch.
results.
Oh,
I think it's
you to sign
kind of
up.
Yeah, we have to get in touch with the chairman.
Just have to extend it
Dr.
verbally,
Spellman.
and that's fine, that's all you need to do, nothing more.
We're extending the results.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the standing as it is
Yeah,
now.
it says the
They took
testing.
them already?
They took them a year ago.
Yeah.
No, we hired.
We hired
Mike
C.
Oh, you're talking about the ones with Mike seats?
Yeah.
They want to extend the
Send
results
out
one more
the
year,
results.
in case we need something next
You're
year.
gonna extend the results?
Yeah.
So we would have to
Yeah,
put up
I
a new
understand what
testing.
you're talking about, but did they all pass?
Yeah, some of them.
The ones that are on the eligibility list all passed.
There was 5 that passed last time, Harvey, from what I remember, and we picked 1, so there's still
Correct.
4 on the eligibility list.
And not saying that we're,
Which is a good portion of our.
we need to have it, but
force.
we already have it in
We
place.
had to-
Why not just extend it
Right, I
like
got
we
it,
did, you know, the other one when we had that one in place?
They are, don't forget that one.
We're saving some money too.
Of course, we know we're permitted by law 1 year to extend, 1 year of extension.
Right.
Whether we hire or not, it's still worth just letting it go here. In case an emergency would happen,
Do it over again.
we would need somebody.
Tackle when we get there.
Right. Okay. Local real estate investors. Who put this?
Go ahead, you wanna talk about that, Dave?
Dave?
You starting it off. Add on.
We have a lot of really high-end real estate investors that are coming here, buying houses, fixing them up, and doing good jobs. Two of them approached Dave and I on Monday and wanted to invite council to look at some of their places, see what they're doing. They think there's a lot more, we may not understand the potential that Munhall has with people coming in and taking some of these dilapidated houses and doing things with them. And they were talking about conservatorships and different things like that, which I'm not skilled enough with that to talk about. But they would like to, show you what they have to offer and go from there.
They also would like council to consider, like Steve Shapenka, he bought a couple row houses down on 18th Avenue, and he's been working on one for 2 years. He said, Boomer, he calls me Boomer, he says, Boomer, I had to pay taxes for a year on it, I had to pay garbage on it, I had to pay a dumpster fee. He said, other municipalities give Alerta,
That's what I've been asking.
give tax
for.
breaks. He goes, is there any way council could consider that? Because he said that's what a lot of investors want. I'm buying this dilapidated building, it may take me a year or two to fix it. Why should I have to pay 100% worth of taxes on it? There's no one living there. I'm losing money the first year, I'm paying garbage. Is there stuff we can look at to make it more investor friendly?
And he does this for a
It's a good
living.
idea to look into that.
Yeah, and he does it for a living. He teaches classes.
Greg in that, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Because that garbage truck still has to go past that house every week.
Right. I understand that.
Maybe we could come to
Definitely
something.
something.
I think it's a good idea to involve Greg.
Yeah, exactly.
Something we could do,
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Well, it's funny you said that, Mr. Tishon, because if I remember correctly, tell me if I'm wrong, Dave, I gave Steve Shapenka Greg's phone number direct dial. So we think alike.
That really worries me.
With that being said, about that. Did I, Dave?
Okay, any additional items from anybody here? Anything else anybody wants to bring up tonight?
Boo, why don't you talk about this last CD?
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
About what? Mark?
The what, Mark?
The last sheet.
Last CD you
Last sheet. Last sheet.
We hear a lot about this field. We hear a lot, Munhall does this and Munhall does that. Munhall won't let us on it. Munhall won't let this person on it. Chatham is on it. We can't use the field.
Go ahead, last sheet.
So, I don't know what happened to your packet.
It's not gonna happen, but it's right before the hash report. I know
So-
what it is though.
So Joe and I and Harvey, Mr. Petruzzi, we were all talking, which is a rec board and
The rec
thing.
board.
let's,
I have it here.
let's check it out. I said, what we need to do is we need to make it clear that we need Chatham on this field to be a partner, so we could, because it costs a lot to run that field. We're not getting out of it, and it's not fair to the taxpayers just to write the checks out for people to come on the field when these other people are using it. Sure, they're paying their $50 to $70 to use the field, but overall, we need to have Chatham as a partner. It's a good partner. 20 years down the road, when we have to replace it, or 15, they're going to be a perfect partner when they say this is their stadium also, and we need to replace the turf.
I'm still looking for where you're at.
Mine's in the middle.
I gave you one this morning, or
You
yesterday.
know what? I can't find mine.
Are you talking about
Mine was in the
the
middle.
revenue expenses and surplus?
Yes.
So all it is
Right in the middle.
I looked to see what did we bring in from this field, what did we pay in expenses for the field, for the utilities, and for field marshals to use this field, and we made $2,000 last year on the field.
After all expenses?
After all expenses and everything.
$1,950
$2,000.
Joe, tell them what we'd have made if Chatham wasn't there.
Taxpayers would have had to pay $13,000 to do that.
But come out of
So
general.
is that
Probably a lot of
$1,900 minus
maintenance
Jackie's
hours,
fee-
too.
Jackie's salary?
Minus all the work that the administration office puts in there.
Didn't figure that in.
Figures out. The other option is to be what? Hey, no one could use it. If whoever wants to use it's going to have to pay for the lights themselves. I mean,
Your showpiece, that's
and-
never what we intended.
no. So I hear and goes on Facebook and everything that Munhall, they won't let our kids play for the field because Chatham's there and everything. Chatham's there to save every taxpayer money, and there's more to be had from them as well. Cut that out. Cut that out.
They said, remember, they said, Monroe wants to be they don't want this to be a cash cow. It ain't no cash
It
cow.
sure isn't.
No, it definitely not.
And we also asked for monies, and they said, well, they're not going to help pay for the field. If what? If we're going to keep all the money that comes into us. So that's all that.
I
That's all that
approached
was.
the Still Valley School Board, and you came with me. Mayor Brennan did. I think Jason did at the time. Harvey may have been there with us. I approached him a couple of years ago, and I asked him, "Hey, you know what? This is before we even opened this field up. I said we may have a problem here. I see it coming. Is there any way that you can help with some of the utilities or something?" And they took it under consideration, and I guess the answer was no.
Okay, what we need, because we're on camera, we don't want to misconstrue anything. Harvey and I met today with one of the coaches, and there is not one issue between Still Valley and Chatham. The coaches, the organizations, and Munhall Borough. We're all working fine together. There's no issues there. It's the outside information that you hear, parents or other people that don't exactly know what's going on. So the purpose of that, right? Or something just for somebody who caused problems.
Doesn't please them.
But as a
Make something
superintendent, the athletic director, all the coaches on both sides are working well with us, and we're not having any issues. But I thought we all thought that was necessary for people to know. There's probably not one person in this room right now that even heard anything or cared about that. But
And you shouldn't have to defend this all
Right.
the time. You
That's
always
correct.
People throw crap out there, and you got to defend it.
that's why we did it.
Motion to adjourn, there, Mr. Chairman.
I'm entertaining that
I
motion.
have a couple of things I'd like to spring up as well. So go ahead, people, I'll wait.
Our cameraman wanted to say something.
I just wanted to say that I've been filming the videos, I haven't posted any yet, but I do want to post them, but I don't want to post them under my personal business email and all that. So I wanted to approach you guys about making an email specific for Munhall Borough called Munhall Borough Video. So I just wanted the permission to be able to do that.
Is there a way we can put that on our website?
Probably, it could probably be linked. I wanted one of you guys on the council or anybody to be an admin also.
Well, I think Becky should be the best admin.
Because I would like some descriptions and stuff on there similar to what the website has, to coincide with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Could you leave your name and phone number with
Yeah,
Becky?
why don't you two work this out? Yeah, why don't you and Becky work it out and
Okay.
how we can do it?
I just
think
wanted
it's
permission to be able to do the Munhall Borough video page.
That's another thing maybe we need to run by Greg, just to make sure we're
Right.
not violating
Exactly,
any.
yeah.
Well, you know what, send me,
Yeah, I mean, we can do it.
send me an
I'd
email
like
with
to
all
see
that
it done.
information.
Oh, now he can't make any decisions with me?
Well, even if it's on.
No, either way, we'll get in touch, and we'll get this moving forward.
Because I got the videos, I wanna put them out there.
I mean, if we wanna do it, we're gonna do it as a borough video that, or a public one, I don't think there's any restriction anybody can put anything on, you know, I think, but it's probably best always to check it through the solicitor.
Okay, thank you.
Just so you know that I'm starting live stream things, so tonight's live stream.
No, we're live again.
Is that why my father keeps calling me?
Okay, yeah, so then,
What's
so
the
right
what,
now
Mr.
we're live
Jones?
streaming.
Live on tape.
What?
I want you to keep this also in mind as well, okay? I foresee, Munhall being like the shining beacon, okay, of technology and things. I want you to have the foresight as well. If people want to speak, there's an option that enables you. Let's say somebody can't make it here, and they can put themselves on the agenda. Communication-wise, you could set up an iPad or something. They can speak to you in real time. So, you know, they're not.
I mean, that'd be okay, but they have to be on the agenda, though. I wouldn't want to think, we'd be here till midnight if everybody wanted to speak and watching it live stream. They would have to be on the agenda, though, of course. That is the future, but they would have to be on the agenda.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, without the agenda,
Theoretically,
I
you know, it's like
it's okay. Okay. You said you wanted to say something?
There you go.
Yeah. I'm in the same position as Mr. Mondo. I was here in December 2011, and I was told I was crazy. They told me that the water that was draining down over my property, Mr. Cannon told me that it was from Main Street. My neighbor has a sump pump, and he pumps all his water, his, the storm water down over my property. My property is ruined. If you want to drive by my property, it's at 113 Emerson Avenue. There's orange cones everywhere. He completely destroyed my sidewalk. But that isn't even the real problem. I mean, if I fix it, I don't know where this water's going to go because I can't, and I swear, you can ask Tom Perlacki, my neighbor, I can't get out of my house in the morning sometimes. Ricky has been there. There's inches of ice. And I have 4-stage cancer. I have cancer in my spine. If I fall, I'm done. And this guy doesn't do one thing. You guys were wonderful. You put a big salt barrel out there. But Ricky, you've been up there. There's so many inches of ice. It's unbelievable. I couldn't get out of my driveway when my mother was dying, so I couldn't park in my driveway anymore. Then I parked on the street, and my wheels were actually frozen to the ground. People were driving by going, what are you going to do? You know? I mean, I don't know what to do. And I've really had it with this guy. I even offered, Tom came over, he said, Sandy, maybe we can work with this. Are you willing to pay for this? And I was. This guy will not do anything. He has never put one bit of salt on my property. Tom comes out and salts in the morning so I can get out of my house. A couple weeks ago, he was draining the water down, and I have pictures. I had to walk almost all the way down to Larry Shalmas's house to get out onto the road and walk back up again to the bus. I don't know what to do. And then when I went over crying to her, because I can show you, I have to walk across everybody's grass so that I don't fall, she told everybody that I upset her. I've been upset since December of 2010, and I haven't wanted to. You guys went. Take them down to file a civil suit. I don't know. Even if I file one, if the property is fixed, if it reroutes, it's going to go right into my house. It's already destroyed. So much of my property, it's unbelievable. I mean, drive by and look, the cones are up. People drive by and say to me, what's going on here? I mean, like, I don't understand how somebody can do that and nobody get any help. When Ricky redid my stuff, I put all my stuff out to the road. I mean, this guy goes right to the edge of the property and right down over my sidewalk. I mean, I can show you pictures if you want. But I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. There is no resolution. He's either got to stop pumping the water, and then I don't even know what his name was in 2011. He said, it's not a big deal. Just pay and you do the cement. It's not even that much money. Well, it's $5,000 to $6,000 for the 2 pavement things. So he'll tell you. I came home one day from work. Somebody reported a water main break. That's how bad this is. And he went on and saw that it was a sump pump after he told me, oh yeah, it's coming from Main Street. It's coming from Main Street. It's, you know, I don't know what any of you want me to do.
It's something the engineer would need to look into.
It's your business. What do you suggest?
Property owner.
I don't know.
It's clear that you're not allowed to run water from your property across over to your neighbor's property. You're not allowed to do it, and if that's what's going on there, that's what's going on there.
I understand.
Can it come on that sidewalk?
What is your solution?
That person needs to run their pipe out to the street.
Right.
So what happened? So here's what will happen there then, Rick. Like she said, her car on the front thing, her wheels are going to be frozen.
I don't park there anymore.
As long as he puts it out to the street.
Wait, hold on. Here goes what the problem is. Joe, can you please read what the DEP suggests for water runoff? And I'll tell you one thing.
Is that what one are you talking about?
Yeah. What the DEP said about rain barrels and what else?
Oh yeah, well it's kind of in flexing here and that. It's not just what you think.
Well, DEP tells people 2 options, two of the best options: rain barrels and green areas. Okay.
You started out with 4. Then you went down to 3.
Well, now,
you end up with 2.
Well, now the DEP suggested rain barrels and green area.
But you can't run on a person's property.
Would that be up
That'll
to
work in Ohio where everything is flat. It doesn't work
Right. Okay.
in Western
The property
Pennsylvania.
maintenance
There has
code,
to be another
the
kind
property
of
maintenance code that we adopted said that
Yeah, this is what I was talking about.
it says you cannot. Here, I'll just read it real quick.
I can't find that sheet.
Roof water shall not be discharged in a manner that creates a public nuisance.
Nobody's listening to you.
I got you, Bill.
Go ahead.
So public nuisance would be going out into the street to
Right now it's a public nuisance, though.
hurt
I
sound.
think.
Well, if you read a public nuisance, the definition of a public nuisance is causing a nuisance to the public and not to an individual in particular.
Not
In
to an
English criminal law,
individual.
public nuisance is a class of common law offense in which the injury, loss, damage is suffered by the public in general rather than an individual in particular.
In other words, the individual's done. That's it.
Right. Theoretically, her sidewalk, from what I've been told, and I've asked a couple of neighbors, a couple of people who live there, your sidewalk has been lifted by that tree for several
That
years.
is not true.
I'm just saying what I've been
That
told
is
by.
not true, and you know that's not true.
I've been told by. I'm just going by what I was told. That the sidewalk is lifted. The other part of the sidewalk, Joe, do you have pictures of the sidewalk?
I'll go get it.
Where the water
They're
sits?
right here. This picture's right here.
Yeah.
It's not by the side. It's not by the tree, and you
I've
know
had,
it.
I've had 2 engineers out there. Greg Scott was out there 4 years ago, and Lindsay was out there 2 years ago.
What do you suggest?
The water is
I've
water
tried
from
to
the
speak
sub
3
pump.
times about it, but no
Yeah,
one will.
the water from the sub pump is getting a lot. It's not from Main Street. There's an alley in the back. Okay, the guy gets a lot of water in his backyard. It goes in his basement. He has a sub pump because the water goes into his basement. He goes out into his sidewalk, onto her sidewalk.
But he's pumping it out on his property and it's going on hers.
Because her property's down here, his is here. So then on his sidewalk, down to her sidewalk sits because there's a tree that's lifted and it just sits there, right where her driveway is.
I seen that there.
Now, I think, to be honest with you, if she fixes 3 parts of her sidewalk and does it properly, the water would go from his property onto her property out into the street.
That's
It's
not
still
true.
going over her property.
Wait, I'll show you.
Still going over the top of her property. Right?
Yes, and we have that problem a lot because a lot of elevations on different streets. My neighbor has his downspout goes on his yard, goes down his hill, onto his sidewalk, onto my sidewalk. His sidewalk sits here, mine sits there.
All right, Rick, what can we do about that to that neighbor? What would you suggest?
He's in violation of the county. The county has laws about this. Monmouth Borough does not. We don't have an ordinance on that.
But doesn't this supersede ours? You know, this is the
County
county plumbing, this is storm drainage.
The county
Pretty good.
I called the inspector today,
Okay.
his office, just because of this, I knew this conversation was gonna come up today. I was not able to talk to him today. I will talk to him and I will report back to you at our council meeting.
Maybe the county can be some help.
But I want to just tell you guys, and I've tried to say this all night, the city of Pittsburgh, they would not allow that discharge to go out to the street.
Right.
They would not allow your property, your rainwater to go out to the street. They want it to go into a storm sewer. And if there's a storm sewer out there, they want you to tie into it. And that's where it comes into problems. And they may change that because, like he said, they change things back and forth a little bit. But the city, I do dye test. He could sell that house next door, and he would pass the dye test from Monmouth Borough because we don't care where the water goes. They don't care. You could have it. Whenever I correct a problem, I never point water at someone's property ever because it's not approved. The county doesn't approve it. You're opening yourself up to a lawsuit. Someone will sue you. If I do it for him, she gets mad and she sues me and him. So as a practice, you never do that. But they have retention pits, like Mr. Ondo, what they were talking about. The city requires you to do that. What they tell you is, okay, you dig a big pit in this person's front yard, and then you have an exit pipe coming out of that. So all the rainwater and everything will be discharged into this big collecting pit, however it's designed. And the state DEP man, he mentioned that about Mr. Ondo. Why don't you get retention pits put in? You can buy them, or we make them ourselves, okay? That person could do that and put a retention pit in there and run a line, a discharge line, from wherever that pit is in the front of his house out to the street. And that would solve several problems. It would let water dissipate into the ground. It may not get as much water onto the street, and it would keep water from going into her property. But in any small way, anyway, you can't divert the water from his house across her property because it's a safety thing. And we talked about this whenever she was here 3 years ago.
Did you say we don't have a code that says that?
We don't have a code.
So can you?
We could adopt a code, an ordinance that said that.
Rick, can you help? Is there a way you can help her? Call whoever you was going to.
I did call today, and unbeknownst to me that she was even. I didn't even know that.
You'll be able to contact this person.
I will. I will contact the health department supervisor for the whole area, and I called him today, and he said I'm in a meeting, and I never got a chance to call him back today. I just ran out of time. But I will call him, and I will have an answer for you and for Monmouth Borough Wednesday.
Good.
Can I say one more thing? If you're not going to do anything for me, then I want to know how I can change the law.
Well,
That's it.
I'm not going to do anything for you, so I don't think.
Let's just find out what he's.
So I don't think we're going to give you talk about changing law because I don't think anybody said they're not going to do anything for you. Rick's already making some calls.
I already have
to the county and to see if something could be adopted.
Now Monmouth Borough could adopt an ordinance, saying, hey, we don't want that to happen. That's being talked about through multi-municipal ordinances that are maybe adopted. So everyone is on the same page.
This all started years ago with the unfunded mandates put on by.
Yeah, but Rob, I just want to mention
though, change there.
You think you have a problem now on Shady Avenue? If you have everybody running their downspouts out full street, think about that.
Well, it could be a problem. Yeah, you don't know.
It'll be everywhere. If we run all the water,
we are here
into
to
the
try to help
streets,
people, and if we can, but you don't want to create
Or
a
if
bigger
you try to
problem.
run it into the sewer system, the pipes are gonna blow up. They're not gonna take it.
That's what I mean. I mean, there's
Yeah,
no.
I mean, the water's gotta.
Ricky, when you did my stuff, didn't you run my pipes out onto the street?
I don't.
You did. There's no ice there at all. None. None.
Come to my house, I have an entrance to every winter, right in front of the house, that's where
What
mine
the
goes.
What the biggest problem is when people have sub pumps. It'll snow. it'll get warm, the sump pump works all day, it trickles, and then it freezes that night. We have Cambria Street, I take Joe up there every year. Joe, Cambria Street's complaining. Joplin Street.
Oh, it's every
Joplin
street.
Street. There's a bunch of
Woodhill.
Woodhill's a mess. And so if you have everybody that's gonna have a sub pump, put it out in the street, which is probably, I don't wanna say 40% of the people in my hall, but there's probably at least 30 that have sub pumps.
25%.
And you're putting all that water out into the streets. You
Some bigger than
your
others, but
budget next year.
there's a lot of problems.
It's already, mine's already going out into the street.
Not even
Catch
basins. Oh, catch basins too, yeah.
So there's no easy fix for
Yeah.
everyone.
Ain't gonna go away.
I mean, I don't know how big the sewer, how much is, or the rainwater pipes, how big are they, guys?
Up there.
36, 48 inch?
They're all different.
You know, but I mean, if you keep adding water to it, because it's not gonna give anybody no water, it's not gonna make it. I mean, you're talking, you know, huge, I mean, money to fix this.
Also,
I don't.
don't think that it's not that we don't do it. It's not that we don't do anything. I mean, that's a misconception. We added 4 catch basins last year because of this issue. 4 catch basins. Because we had these issues because of this. 4 brand new catch basins weren't there, so we are making improvements.
I don't think we can
But you
do it
can
in front
see,
of everyone's
it
house.
depends on how fast he's pumping it, where it's going. So that's inches of ice that's already out on the street.
We understand it, Ted. Let Ricky.
We know your problem.
That's not even, it's depending on how fast he pumps it, it goes out onto the street.
Right.
Well, let's see what you do.
I'll bring it back to the council and
So depending on how fast he pumps it.
Adopt ordinance.
There, out onto the street, okay?
The people that do that, you have to change.
Okay, last thing, I know everybody wants to get out of here. I listened when Mr. Cannon had brought up about these out-of-town, big-time investors coming here and buying up pieces of property, and they would like to get a garbage tax break and tax break for this and tax break for that. What about the small-time investor? You know what? I've bought houses in this borough, and my properties are in this borough, and I not once got a tax break on any of them. Why would we do it for somebody that has more money than George Soros?
Time out.
doing
You're miscommunicating. You're miscommunicating. These guys are no different than you. We're not trying to do anything for anyone different than we would do for you. These are guys that are sticking up for you.
Okay, that's
it's not you coming at us again. We don't do nothing.
Holy smoke, Joe, that was good. That was great.
Well, that's exactly what you're doing.
No. We're going to look into this for the big-time investor.
No, these guys. That's not what we said. We said local investor.
Did we say big-time investor?
No, it says right here.
Big-time investor.
No, I'll read it. It's right here on the agenda. You have the agenda right there?
If I'm wrong, tell me. but I don't remember
Local real
big-time.
estate investor.
You should be
Local.
included in this, Kevin.
Local real investor. You a local real investor?
Sure he is.
Yes, I am.
Okay, we're talking about you. We're talking about you.
That's what I'm
Thank
looking
you for
at.
coming.
It's nice when people can come and get talked to like that, Joe. Thanks.
You do the same. You get what you asked for.
Thank
Let
you.
me have a motion for adjournment.
Where are you at?
You're not gonna get it from me.
I have one thing I have to bring up, and I have another thing, but I'll bring it up next meeting.
Good. Then I will move to
The summer programs that we're talking about are important. I think we need to do that. Other towns have them. Joe and I were at the last meeting. I don't remember what was brought up. The game that was brought up. It's like a bocce ball game. It was brought up by the recreational board. It was a very good idea. We need to bring it to council and talk to people about it and let them talk about it.
I forgot to bring that up.
I know, and I wanted to bring that up because it was a good meeting we had. We were doing, the rec board is really moving forward. Secondly, the most important thing I really want to talk about, and I got to talk to you guys about this. This is an important matter. I've been working with Pat Campbell on this issue, and it is a problem. And everyone here knows this is a problem. and it goes to our Safe Routes to School program. This week we had a child that was run over by a car on Main Street.
Wait.
Not run over. He was hit by a car. He was thrown into a car.
He was horsing around with his friends, got pushed into.
That's what I heard too.
So this is a problem. He was struck by a vehicle. He broke his ankle, whichever. There was human contact here. Thank God the boy was not hurt. But before I became mayor, I mentioned this to Pat. Before I took office, I see what happens all the time. Every day, Munhall Borough has people out there. Our police officers spend so much time watching these kids get from the Steel Valley School down to 22nd Avenue. It has become a cost, and I had Pat work on this the last couple of days, of $42,000 a year, roughly. That's not counting wear and tear on our vehicles, because our vehicles are out there, they're in use. That's not counting, all the other little incidental things. But that is taking account, okay, for approximately 20 arrests. There's all kind of, it's a big breakdown. I'm going to have Pat print it out for next meeting for you. But I want to bring it out to council, because I think we should go to the school board and say, hey, enough's enough. We pay for all this time ourselves. Either let's get a bus and have a bus take these children from the school to Homestead Barracks School, and they can disembark there. Or they can help pay for some of these costs that we incur every year, $42,000 a year plus. And I want your opinion on what you think about it. I want you to just think about it. We don't want to talk about it. Just sit on that until the next meeting, because I'm going to have Pat give you a copy. He has a complete breakdown here of it. And think about it.
You say how you said it, and we won't talk about it, but you said these children. You know what I mean? These children.
They're Steel Valley students.
I understand what they are.
They're Monmouth
I understand.
students.
But why do you have that police protection, Chief? Why do they have to walk the safe route to school?
I don't know, because we want to try to push them. Well,
when they went on Perry Street, what happened there?
There was no sidewalks.
Where'd they walk?
They walked in the middle of the street.
Or on top of
over
cars?
top of cars, through people's property. So what we did, we formed, not just us, the school formed a Safe Routes to School. Straight down Main Street on a main sidewalk. The sidewalks are in bad shape. That's being remedied this year. We all know that. But that's the reason we pushed them out to that main sidewalk. So they have some place to walk where they don't have to, they're not cutting people's yards, walking over people's cars, destroying their property. That's the complaints that we deal with every single day with the kids walking home from school. I've dealt with it every day that I've worked here for 23 years. The school's been there for as long as I've worked here, and there's been no busing since I was in high school. So we deal with this every day. We deal with fights. We deal with vandalism. We deal with kids joking around, pushing each other into the street, throwing rocks at cars. It's every single day.
That's why you pay $40,000.
Yes.
I know that. I'm not saying, I'm not questioning that.
Is basically our whole 311 crew, their first hour of their shift is spent babysitting these kids down Main Street.
Been that way.
And I was pretty conservative with the number of arrests in a school year, with just the kids walking home from school with 20. I try to leave it just, lowball a little bit. The average court cost that, corresponds with that is roughly $6 an officer, which breaks down to another $6,600, I believe. Just what we pay for our shift, say 1 hour. 1 hour of that second shift every day is $33,332.40. Then you add in the arrest, which correspond to the court time, is another $6,603.60. And what I also figured in here is we probably get roughly 5 calls for something going on in the school in the day. Like, do we hear in the street at night, do we pack the school in the morning with cops? We have them in the driveway, we have them in the front of the building, we have a circle in the building. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we had 7 sheriff's deputies and all of our guys up there. You know, the cost of that, you know, for an hour or two in the morning is roughly $2,100. So, I mean, there's a real cost that goes along with everything we do to not only keep the kids from getting hit by cars because they don't know how to walk home from school, and, you know, the like I said, the vandalism that occurs in the neighborhood. It's just, there's a cost to it, and it's costing us about $42,000.
I remember exactly why we started doing it years ago is because there was vandalism. They were taking a shortcut through a neighborhood. There was vandalism in neighborhoods and
people's mailboxes
walking on cars.
Their fences getting damaged.
I remember why we started doing this, and we had the police there.
Their siding getting dented, their windows getting broken. I mean, it was pretty much an everyday.
But it is a good point that we ask for some help with this. Sure.
I will say, I mean, like, because this is what we do, we get a fraction of those complaints in that the neighborhood in between the school and 22nd Avenue. From what we used to get, the number is very minimal at this point.
Right, we're not getting the complaints we once
This
were.
is why.
Right,
because
we're
$42,000
because of the expense we have. The police, we're policing it.
And it could be eliminated with a bus.
Exactly.
I've been to those meetings, and they have discussed this. I mean, parents have discussed this. That's a whole nother issue than a council, you know, where there is no, you know, cohesive, answer to that problem.
Well, it's a problem.
Maybe we could set up a meeting with the school board and, a separate meeting with the school board one day, and we can talk about some things like this. That's where something would need to be set up, was the joint meeting between school and council and the mayor. We can maybe discuss some of this stuff. We can talk about all we want here among ourselves, and nothing's going to get done. But if we talk about it with the school board, maybe then we can finally get something done.
This is the start.
Right. This is a start. Just talk. I know that's a good reason to talk about it here. But the next step would be, I think, that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bring most of it into this.
Yeah. T, you're up.
Pass.
No, you're supposed to make that motion.
He made it.
He made it. He made a second on it. He made a motion already.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Sean, second by Mr. Engels. All in favor, by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays.